friend the Shiddu Ken, he was also like the bride's friend, the bridegroom friend. He was acted as the intermediary betwixt the two. And because I'm busy preparing a place, I'm sending my Shiddu Ken. He was like the matchmaker too. I'm sending him, go check on my investment, you know. And then if he come back and tell me, man, it looks like she's pregnant. That's a problem. That is a problem. That is a direct violation of Section 101 of the Ketubah and the Shiddukin and the Enaim and all that. That's a violation. You know, Houston, we have a problem. You know, I'm gonna want, you know, my mohar back. You know, and my matan. You know. And we're going to pay that penalty we talked about too, you know. So, you know, but if you look at the whole system of how things were done, it was actually a really good system.
Right.
Yeah, it was actually a really good system, and it was things put in place that all parties was taken care of, and everything was just and fair.
Except the woman died.
Huh?
I said, except the woman would die.
Why would the woman die?
If she was pregnant, they wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, well, if they could have found Romeo, they'd have killed him too.
Both of them would have been dead.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, you know. Well, you know what you was getting into before you know. You see, it should be said. You know, like it should be said. Like when we went over with Abraham, sending Eleazar to get a bride for Isaac, you know, Rebecca had a say-so.
Right.
She didn't have to go with him.
Right.
You know, she agreed too. So, you know, it's not without her consent. You know, so it's, you know, it's not, you know, like, you know, no, Dad, I'm in love with Tommy. You know, if, you know, I don't want to marry him. She had a say. You know what I'm saying? So she agreed to this. So she agreed to that, and then later on decide, I'm getting with Tommy anyway. You know, now, you know, that's of her own choosing. You know, so, you know, everything was just and fair. Now, the purification period or preparation period could last longer than a year depending on the circumstances. Maybe the bridegroom hadn't yet got the place prepared for the bride. You know, and I think that's a good idea too. You know, here it is, you come to get my daughter, you should at least have a place to take her. You know? Here it is, you want to come marry my daughter and live in my basement. I don't get no dowry, no mohar, no matan, and I get an extra bill and an extra mouth to speak. That don't sound like a good deal to me. You know, if I had some to negotiate that contract, I would do it a bit differently. You know, but that's what's happening nowadays because this is absent. You know, but here it is. It says, while the bride was purifying herself, the groom was preparing a place for her, which wouldn't be ready until the father said so. Dad is not going to let you give him a bad name. You know, you're going to prepare a place, and we're going to get you together so that you can be able to have a bride, so you can be able to support a wife. You know, so you can be able to, so that, you know, you don't go into this thing blind, deaf, and dumb. You know, we don't want that, because that's gonna make us look bad. Nobody else they not gonna want none of our brides, none of our daughters as brides, and they're not gonna want none of our sons as bridegrooms. You know, so you know you're gonna have you making it rougher on your brothers and your and those that come behind you. So we're going to make sure you do this thing right so that, you know, we have an upstanding name and we be the pick of the litter. So when we come and ask for someone's daughter, for her, somebody's father's for their daughter hands in marriage, you know, it's not going to be no problem. You know, oh, yeah, they take care of business. Yeah, hurry up, marry them over to that man. You know, that sort of thing. Yeah, hurry. Be trying to get them girls up out the house. Hurry. Man, y'all come home with extras. Right.
Y'all.
Mother Mary.
Just women speaking generally. Mother Mary.
But I think we're talking about two different things here. You talk about things of the world. The world don't do the things that people do that's in the kingdom.
Don't you have that mic in your hand?
Oh, yeah.
So everybody can hear.
I said, we're talking about, seems like we're talking about two different things. You're talking about worldly things and things that are done with people that are walking in the way of Yeshua the Messiah. Now, I can remember when I got married, you talk about 50 years of marriage, things were a little different because my husband did come and ask my father, could he marry me? We did walk it, but we were both in the path of righteousness, and so was my father. So he thought that way. But when you think about the world, it's a whole different thing. They don't even think about things. And sure, you might come and she might be like spoiled or pregnant or something like that because she's not walking in the way. So we can't compare the two because there's that line. There is the right way and there's the wrong way, and there's no gray area there.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I am talking about the people who believe that they are in the way.
They're
You
not,
know.
if they're doing that, they're not in the way. They're, you know.
Well, I know that, and you know that, but they don't know that.
But then,
You know.
but then we can't assume that we cannot say anything about that because that is for Yah to say. Because we don't know. They, you know, people have a form of religion but deny the power thereof. And to me, that's what that is. And you just can't even talk about the two.
Well, actually, what I'm speaking to is the quote unquote form of Christianity that prevails now today. You know, you have many people because of what's been taught that that all you have to do is confess a few words and believe in your heart and you're saved. Many people think that they are Christians, and if you ask them, they will profess to be a Christian.
But we know that is a lie of Satan. We know that.
Okay, but my point is, if we're not teaching our kids, and they go and they ask this young lady, or she go and she asks this young man, are you a Christian? And that young lady or young man have the understanding that they are because they did confess with their mouth and that they did believe in their heart that they are. You know, they will say what's in their heart, which is yes. You know, and even though a true Christian, if you would, may look upon that and say, no, they aren't. If we don't have those true Christians teaching the way, being the salt and the light, then the way will be lost. And that's what I'm speaking to. The way is becoming lost. It's only now that the people are being reawakened and brought back into the light of Yah's way. You know, it's only now that they're starting to embrace these ancient paths once again, where's the salt and the light is at. You know, but unfortunately, for a large portion of the quote-unquote Christian community, because you have over 6 billion people that claim to be Christians within the world today, you know, that their view of Christianity and our view of Christianity differ by far. You know, and that's what I'm speaking to, what the overall vision of Christianity has come to mean, you know, from those who think that they are, but aren't due to erroneous teachings. So, you know, yeah, in fact, they are of the world, but they don't know it. You know, they've been deceived. You know, and that's the plot of the enemy is to deceive us. You know, and that's what I'm speaking to, is that we that do know have to be that salt and that light. We have to begin to teach those generations beneath us and teach our peers so that the truth becomes as prevalent as the lies is. So that at least when our children choose, they choose with a base of knowledge, knowing what's right and wrong. rather than walking into a situation of deception. So Sheila, you have a comment?
Yeah. And to that fact, a large part of what you talked about was the fact that the parents were involved. It wasn't that the children were choosing.
Yeah.
To a large point of what you were saying, the children were not doing choosing because of that measure. So this whole plan, like you said, I mean, it was like everything was all inclusive. It wasn't just left up to two kids to say, yeah, I think we're ready. She looked good. He looked good. And the father's going, no, we're not doing that. Here's the list, that Yah's given us that we need to operate by. And so, and to the other part of whether they are in the way or not in the way, as we're talking about Yom Kippur and the whole issue of these fall feasts, Yah was saying, return to my ways, which meant there are times when even believers fall off the path. So we gotta even say there is no perfection that we're talking about here, but direction.
Yeah.
That's good.
Now, this period, as we were saying, could last a year or more. It usually was no less than a year. Which gives the young folks, or they may not be young, but the bride and the bridegroom an opportunity to reflect on what they're, about to embark upon, and it gives them a time to really dwell and think about that and prepare for that mentally as well, as physically, because we hear all the time, hey, I'm about to get married, I got to start working out, by the males and the females, but everybody want to be their best, during that time, which is a good thing, but it gives them time to actually do that, rather than going off in the lobing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I know it's been said, but just to stress it, this point, these 12 months, they are apart. They're not together. It's almost impossible for two people to make a decision concerning a marriage together while they're intimately together. The answer is going to always be yes, yes, yes when they're together. But when they separate, a season of real sobriety can set in, and they can hear counsel, and they can hear their own hearts, and then they can form a decision. But it cannot be done. People say, let's shack up and see if it'll work out. It'll never work out that way. It'll never work out. It's against Yah. It's against everything that makes sense as far as real counsel go. And I just wanted to say the biggest part about this is that they're not together.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And just to she be back on that. The Shidduch or the Shidduchah was like a matchmaker, and they would maybe see someone and be like, oh, I seen somebody that'd be a good fit for your son or your daughter. But they also had like a process where they would meet up together. That was the way the courting was done. The parents may come over. The parents of the prospective bridegroom or the prospective bride will come one to the other's house or meet up at a central location, and they would start off talking maybe like in the living room or something, and then the parents would leave the two together to talk. They may go in another room or something, and they would do this, but it was always some other people nearby, and they would do this, for a number of times, before they made a decision as to whether or not, they even liked that person or even was even would contemplate, being with that person. So this was an opportunity for the bride and bridegroom, the prospective bride and bridegroom, to get to know one another and determine if they in fact even wanted to even pursue, some type of relationship or marriage with that person. So that's how that was done. And then you're correct. Once they agreed upon that, okay, we're gonna marry, and they went through the betrothal process and they signed the contracts or whatever. They were not together from that point on. And even the times when they came by, it wasn't like, every day. The parents would come by, periodically with the child, or with the prospective bride or bridegroom. Didn't even have to be a child, but there was always be some chaperones there, and they give them a little time, hour or two, and then they would leave. So that's how it was done back then. And then once they got into this preparation and purification period, they did not only did they not see one another, they didn't speak to one another. All communication was done through a third party. And, precisely for those reasons, they really got a chance to really, do some soul seeking, and some soaking, concerning the big day, concerning what they were about to get into, how their life was about to change, and how, they had to grow up now, and how they had to, do away with little silly habits that they may have had, childish things that they were accustomed to, this sort of thing. And this would have been what they would have been being instructed on as well. Now, Yahushua said that he didn't know when he'd return, and he could say this truthfully because the preparation period wasn't over until the Father said so. Until you say, like he told, let's read it. Matthew 24:36 says, "But of the day and the hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only." Now he will also say in Yochanan 14:2, "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would not have told you. I go to prepare a place for you." He couldn't say when he was coming back because he didn't know when this place that he was preparing for us would be ready, because it wouldn't be ready until the Father said it was ready. Yeah. So during the time of purification for the bride, where she was purifying herself and being, taught all the beauty secrets by, the matriarch and the women in her family, at the same time, the bridegroom was over at his house preparing the place for his bride to be. He was hard at work, she was hard at work. What was they hard at work at? They were hard at work preparing for this marriage. Yeah. So after going through all that hard work, you're going to try to make it work. Yeah. So that's what would be going on during that time. And in the scheme of things, the ecclesia are espoused to Yahushua and is being prepared or being purified to become a faithful bride, while Yahushua is preparing the place for us. Next read is 2 Colossians 11:2-3 and Ephesians 5:25-27, please.
For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Messiah. But I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupt from the simplicity that is in Messiah. Husbands, love your wives, even as Messiah also loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish.
Okay, so here we see that Apostle Paul is saying, you know, he's playing that Shirukin, he's playing that matchmaker. And he said, I'm trying to present you as a chaste virgin to Messiah. You know, because if he come back and you pregnant, the deal is off. It's off. I don't want you to be beguiled as Eve was. She didn't mean to do it. She was beguiled. She was deceived. You know, and that, you know, that's the thing. You know, if you don't know the will, the way, and the purpose that Yah has for your life, it makes you easier to be deceived. You know, and the enemy it's his job to do that. This is what he's seeking to do, to deceive us. You know, so it's not really speaking to the hearts of the people. You know, your heart may be in the right place, but if you don't know, you don't know. You know, and that's why it's so important that we be the salt and the light. That we reserve or preserve those ancient ways. You know, just like Mother Mary was speaking about how her husband did go to her father and ask for her hand in marriage. But so often today, you have people who claim to be Christians, they don't do that no more. You know, they just don't do it no more. And it's probably because, you know, it's not propagated enough. I don't know, or maybe they just don't see it as important, but it needs to be expounded and made for them to understand the importance of it, you know, and why, you know, it's done. You know, it's ultimately to protect them, to make sure that they're not beguiled, you know, because, you know, they may not be able to see, but, you know, us being adults, we can look and see.
That's why we have mirrors. That's one to another.
Absolutely. You know, now.
To that end, though, Ron, if you're looking at the breakdown of the family and those positions not even being there in a lot of them, or not being there in the function that they should be, it makes good sense now that the children are saying we have to make our own decisions. When the dad and mom aren't there, who's doing that? They raising themselves. True.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, and you know, the churches in times past has oftentimes picked up the slack, but they've been dropping the ball too. You know, but you know, there is a solution, and the solution is, you know, to be that salt and that light. You know, and return to the ancient ways. Because, you know, there was wisdom in it. Yeah. You know, and you know, unfortunately, the youth today, they think newer is better. Newer is not always better.
It's true.